Hello, my friend. Welcome to another video. Today, I introduce you a famous short story writer, so take up a chair. Guy de Maupassant was one of the greatest short story writers in world literature. He was born on 5 August 1850 in Normandy, France, in a beautiful old house called Château de Miromesnil. His full name was Henri-René Albert Guy de Maupassant. He belonged to a middle-class family. His father, Gustave de Maupassant, and his mother, Laure Le Poitevin, had an unhappy marriage. When Guy was still a small child, his parents separated. After that, he and his younger brother, Hervé, were raised mainly by their mother. This separation had a deep effect on his childhood, but his mother played a very important role in shaping his future. His mother was educated, intelligent, and very interested in literature. She loved reading books and had good knowledge of famous writers. She encouraged young Guy to read and develop his thinking. Because of her influence, he started loving books from an early age. He spent most of his childhood in the countryside of Normandy. The natural beauty of green fields, the sea, farms, and simple village life stayed in his heart. Later in his life, many of his stories were based on the people and places of Normandy. As a boy, Maupassant was active and energetic. He enjoyed outdoor life. He liked rowing in rivers and walking in open fields. He first went to a religious school in Yvetot. However, he did not like the strict rules and discipline there. He felt uncomfortable in that environment. Later, he moved to a lycée in Rouen for further studies. During his school years, he began writing poems in short pieces. His talent slowly started to appear. Around this time, he met the famous writer Gustave Flaubert, who was a friend of his mother. Flaubert became his teacher and guide. He taught Maupassant how to observe life carefully and how to write clearly and simply. He told him to avoid unnecessary words and to focus on truth in writing. In 1870, when Maupassant was 20 years old, war broke out between France and Prussia. He joined the French army as a soldier. The experience of war changed him deeply. He saw fear, hunger, suffering, and the weakness of human beings. He saw how people behaved during difficult times. These experiences later became part of his stories. He wrote about war not as something heroic and romantic, but as something painful and cruel. After the war ended in 1871, Maupassant moved to Paris. Like many young men, he needed a job to survive. He started working as a clerk in government offices. First, he worked in the Ministry of Marine and later in the Ministry of Public Instruction. He did not enjoy office work. He found it boring and tiring. However, the job gave him money and stability. During this time, he continued writing in his free hours. In the evenings and on holidays, he worked on stories and poems. During the 1870s, he stayed close to Flaubert, who continued guiding him. Through Flaubert, he also met other important writers of the time. He learned from them and improved his skills. For many years, he practiced writing quietly without much public attention. He wanted to perfect his craft before becoming famous. His big success came in 1880 when he published a short story called Boule de Suif. The story was about a group of French people traveling during the war. It showed how people can be selfish and hypocritical when they are in danger. The story was realistic and powerful. It became very popular, and suddenly Maupassant became well known in literary circles. After this success, he felt confident as a writer. From that point on, he wrote with great speed and energy. The 1880s became the most productive years of his life. He wrote more than 300 short stories in total, and most of them were written during this period. His stories were published in newspapers and magazines, and people waited eagerly for his new works. His writing style was simple, clear, and direct. He did not use complicated language. Instead, he focused on real human emotions and everyday life. Many of his stories talk about ordinary people: farmers, soldiers, office workers, housewives, and small-town residents. He wrote about love, marriage, greed, jealousy, fear, pride, and death. He showed both the good and bad sides of human nature. One of his most famous stories is The Necklace. It is about a woman who borrows a necklace for a party, loses it, and spends many years working hard to replace it, only to discover later that the necklace was not real. The story is simple but powerful, with a surprising ending. Maupassant also wrote novels. His first novel, A Woman's Life, was published in 1883. It tells the story of a young woman whose dreams of love and happiness are destroyed by reality. The novel was successful and praised for its emotional depth. In 1885, he published another famous novel called Bel Ami. It is about a young man who rises in society by using his charm in relationships with women. The novel shows the ambition, corruption, and social life of Paris. It became very popular and increased Maupassant's fame. As his fame grew, so did his income. He earned a lot of money from his writing. With this money, he began to travel. He loved traveling and exploring new places. He visited Italy, England, North Africa, and other regions. He especially enjoyed sailing and spent time on his yacht. Traveling gave him freedom and joy. It also gave him new ideas for his writing. He wrote travel books describing his journeys and experiences. Although he was successful and rich, his personal life was not peaceful. He never married, though he had relationships with different women. Some people say that he felt lonely deep inside. He worked very hard and often pushed himself too much. He also suffered from health problems. It is believed that he had a serious disease that slowly damaged his body and mind over many years. In the late 1880s, his health began to decline. He suffered from strong headaches and problems with his eyes. He became nervous and anxious. Sometimes he felt afraid without reason. His mental condition also became weaker. His later stories became darker in tone. They often showed madness, fear, and strange thoughts. One famous later story, The Horla, is about a man who believes that an invisible being is controlling him. Many readers believe this story reflects Maupassant's own mental struggles. As the years passed, his condition became worse. He tried to continue writing, but it became more difficult. His mind was not as strong as before. In 1892, in a moment of deep despair, he tried to end his life. After this tragic event, he was placed in a private mental hospital near Paris. There he lived under medical care. He was no longer able to work or write properly. Guy de Maupassant died on July 6, 1893. He was only 42 years old. His life was short, but his achievements were great. In about 10 years of serious literary work, he produced hundreds of stories and several novels. His style influenced many future writers. His clear language and realistic storytelling made him one of the masters of short fiction. Even today, his stories are read all over the world. Students study his works in schools and universities. Many of his stories have been translated into different languages. Some have been made into films and television programs. His characters feel real because they are based on real life. He showed human nature honestly, without hiding its weaknesses. Maupassant's life was a mixture of beauty and pain. He experienced love, success, travel, and fame. At the same time, he experienced illness, loneliness, and mental suffering. His childhood in Normandy gave him love for nature. His war experience showed him the harsh side of life. His years in Paris exposed him to society and ambition. All these experiences became part of his writing. He believed in observing life carefully. He watched people closely and understood their emotions. He did not try to make his stories complicated. Instead, he told simple stories about real situations. That is why his writing still feels fresh and modern. His life story is not just the story of a writer, but the story of a man who lived deeply, felt strongly, and turned his experiences into unforgettable literature.